I never thought I'd end up here, honestly. My name's Jake, and I've been married to Emily for about 5 years now. We met in college, had that whirlwind romance, and somehow we managed to stay pretty good together, at least I thought so. She was always a little sharp-tongued, but I figured that was just her personality. She's the kind of girl who can be bitchy, sarcastic, and still make you laugh. But over the past few months, I started noticing little things that didn't sit right with me. At first, it was small stuff. She'd come home late from work dinners, which I knew was bullshit because she's a lawyer and her firm often had those, but the timing felt off. She'd be quick to brush off questions, giving me half-assed excuses about client meetings or networking events. I knew her schedule was busy, yeah, but her phone kept getting more secretive. She'd hide it when I walked into the room, lock it when she was in the bathroom, and sometimes I'd catch her deleting texts or clearing recent calls. Then, one night, I came home early from a business trip because I wasn't feeling. Well, I expected her to be home, maybe cooking dinner or at least waiting for me. When I walked in, the house was dead silent. I checked the living room first, no sign of her. Then I went to the bedroom and that's when I saw it. Her phone was on the nightstand and I could see the screen, a message thread open. It was from some guy named Josh. The message was, well, it was suggestive to say the least. They were talking about meeting up for sex, as blunt as that. My stomach dropped. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I took a deep breath and looked closer. The messages weren't just a one-time thing. There were dozens of texts, photos, and even a few explicit pictures. She was cheating on me. My wife, the woman I loved, the woman I thought I knew, was screwing around with some lawyer she'd met through her work, who, by the way, was supposed to handle our diplomatic status, our international legal stuff. Now I know what you're thinking. How'd I find out? Well, it wasn't just the messages. A week after that, I got access to the embassy security footage. Turns out the security system had a glitch, and I managed to get a hold of the footage from a few nights ago. I saw her sneaking out of the house, heading to some hotel downtown. That was the moment I knew I couldn't deny it. Emily, my wife, lying, sneaking around, secretly sleeping with some guy who was supposed to be working for us on our legal stuff. It was everything I feared and more. I felt sick, betrayed, humiliated, and furious. How the hell could she do this? After everything we'd been through, after all the promises, the vows, it was like my whole world crumbled in minutes. And the worst part, she had told me she loved me just that morning, like everything was fine. Yeah, right, I didn't even sleep that night. I just stared at her phone, at the footage, replaying everything in my head. I kept asking myself how I missed all the signs, how I didn't see it coming. And I kept thinking about all the times she'd lied to me, all the times I trusted her, and it had all been a lie. I wanted to break. Something, scream, cry, anything but just sit there with that sinking feeling in my chest. I knew I had to confront her, but I didn't know how. If I was going to do it, I'd need a plan because I knew she'd deny everything, call me paranoid, or worse, turn it around on me. But I wasn't going to just let her get away with it. Not this time. The next morning, I woke up feeling like I'd been hit by a bus. My mind was racing and my stomach was twisted in knots. I knew I couldn't just pretend I hadn't seen what I saw. That afternoon, I decided I had to confront her. I needed answers. Though I already knew the truth, I wanted her to say it out loud so I could hear her lie. I wanted her to look me in the eyes and tell me it was all just some mistake, some misunderstanding. But I knew better. When Emily walked into the kitchen that evening, I was already sitting at the table, my arms crossed, eyes fixed on her. She looked at me a little defensively, the usual sharpness in her gaze. "What's wrong, Jake? You look like you've seen a ghost," she said, trying to brush it off with a sarcastic smirk. I didn't hold back. "I saw the messages, Emily, the photos, the video footage from the embassy security system. What the hell is going on?" Her face froze for a second, then she looked away, trying to act casual. "You're overreacting," she shot back, but her voice was shaky. "You're paranoid. There's nothing going on. You're just jealous, or maybe you're accusing me because you're insecure." I shook my head. "Don't lie to me. I know everything. The messages, the hotel, Josh, your lawyer. You think I don't know what's been happening behind my back? How long have you been cheating on me?" She threw her head back and rolled her eyes. "Oh, please, you're just making stuff up because you're insecure. Josh is just a client, a friend. We talk about legal stuff, that's all. You're imagining things. I clenched my fists. Stop lying. I saw the pictures, Emily. I saw you sneaking out that night, going to some hotel downtown. This isn't some misunderstanding. You're sleeping around and I want the truth. She looked flustered for a moment, then scoffed. Fine, maybe I cheated, okay, but it's not what you think. It's just sex, Jake. It doesn't mean anything. I didn't mean for it to happen. You think I like sneaking around. I hate this. But you're so busy with your work, your stupid diplomatic duties, that you don't even notice how I feel. I needed something, someone, to make me feel alive. That hit me like a punch in the stomach. I felt the anger boiling up, but I also felt the crushing sadness. I couldn't believe she was justifying it like that, like I was some obstacle, some inconvenience she needed to escape from. And I knew deep down that this wasn't just about sex. It was about everything else, her need for excitement, her boredom, her betrayal. I felt a strange mixture of rage and heartbreak, like my entire world had just shattered into 1,000 pieces. I stared at her, trying to keep my voice steady. So you admit it. You're cheating on me with some guy who's supposed to be handling our legal stuff, and you think this is just some fling. You think I'm stupid. She looked away for a second, then muttered, "It's not that simple, Jake. You're making it into something bigger than it is. I love you, but I was just lonely, and Josh made me feel alive again. It didn't mean I wanted to leave you or anything. I just needed to feel wanted." I couldn't take it. My head was pounding, my heart racing. I'd always believed in honesty, in loyalty. And now I was the fool who got betrayed by the woman I trusted most. I wanted to scream, to break something, but I held it together. Barely. I told myself I needed to stay calm, think clearly. But inside I was raging. I knew this wasn't going to go away. It was only the beginning, and I had no idea what I was going to do next. The silence after her last words was thick and heavy, like the air itself had turned to concrete. I stared at her, feeling everything inside me twist and churn. I wanted to lash out, yell, make her feel as devastated as I was, but I also knew that wouldn't get me anywhere. Still, I had to think, had to figure out what to do. My mind raced through all the options, all the possibilities, but the one thing I knew for sure was that I couldn't just let this slide. Her words hung in the air. I love you, but I was just lonely, like some sick joke. I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw the same bitchy smirk she always had, the sharp eyes that could cut through steel. Only now there was something else, a flicker of guilt. Or maybe just the cold calculation of someone who knew damn well she'd crossed a line but didn't care enough to stop herself. "I need some time," I finally managed to say, voice low and trembling. "I need to think about what's real, what's not. You lied, Emily. You lied about everything, about your meetings, about where you've been, and about how you really feel. I don't know if I can come back from this." She rolled her eyes again. "Great. Take all the time you want, Jake. Honestly, I don't care. Just don't come crying to me when you realize you're the one who screwed up this marriage, not me." That was the moment I knew I had to get out of there for now. I couldn't deal with her venom, her lies, her bullshit. I grabbed my coat, told her I needed some space, and left the house. It was like walking out of a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. Every step I took felt heavier, like I was dragging a mountain behind me. I drove around aimlessly, trying to clear my head, but all I could do was replay what she said, what I saw, what I knew deep down. That night I stayed awake, staring at the ceiling, thinking about all the ways this could blow up. I knew I had to do something, but what? Confront her again or just cut my losses? I wasn't sure. But I did know one thing: I needed proof, something concrete, to really understand how deep this went. Because from what I saw, this wasn't just a fling. It was an affair, possibly even more serious. And I wasn't about to let her walk all over me. Not without a fight. The next few days were a blur of chaos and confusion. I couldn't concentrate on work, couldn't sleep, and kept going over everything in my head. I knew I couldn't trust her anymore, but I also needed to be careful. If there was one thing I learned from her bitchy, manipulative ways, it's that she'd lie her way out of anything if she thought she could get away with it. So, I decided to dig deeper, find actual proof that she was still involved, that this wasn't just a one-time mistake she'd regret. That's when I remembered about the embassy security footage. I had access somehow after the glitch. I decided to revisit it, see if I could spot anything I missed before. I spent hours poring over every clip, watching her come and go from the house. And then I saw it. A clip from 2 nights ago. There she was, sneaking out again, this time looking even more nervous, checking around like she was paranoid someone was watching her. She hurried into a black car waiting outside, and I recognized the driver, some guy I'd never seen before, but definitely not Josh. The car disappeared down the street, and I felt that familiar rage bubble up inside me. But what really got me was what I saw next. The footage from inside the hotel parking lot. It was blurry, but clear enough. My wife Emily getting out of the car, heading into a room. The door shutting behind her. It was enough. I had the evidence I needed, proof she was still cheating, still lying, still betraying everything we'd built. I felt a mix of anger and heartbreak. Part of me wanted to storm right over there, confront her, demand answers. But another part, the cold, rational part, told me I needed to be smart. If I went in guns blazing, she'd deny it, spin some sob story, or worse, turn it around on me. I had to plan my next move carefully. I went to a friend I trusted, a guy who was good with legal stuff, and explained everything. He told me I could get a restraining order or even start legal proceedings if I wanted. But I knew I needed something more. I needed to hit her where it hurts, in her reputation, her pride. My plan started forming then. I'd gather all the evidence, screenshots, footage, the hotel receipts, and use it to confront her again, but this time with leverage. I wanted her to see that I wasn't going down easily, that I knew the truth, and I was going to make her regret ever lying to me. I'd make her feel the same sense of betrayal I had, only I'd do it in a way she couldn't deny or worm her way out of, because I was done playing nice. This was war, and I was determined to win. Over the next few days, I meticulously collected everything I could find, screenshots of the messages, the hotel receipts, the security footage stills. I needed a solid case, something undeniable. I wanted her to feel the weight of her lies, to realize I wasn't some naive fool she could manipulate anymore. My plan was to confront her again, but this time with irrefutable proof. I knew Emily. She was a master liar, and if I didn't come prepared, she'd deny everything, spin some story about how I was paranoid or jealous. One afternoon, I decided to set the stage. I called her, told her I needed to talk, that I'd found some disturbing things online related to her work. She was defensive right away, trying to brush me off, but I was calm, cold even. I told her I knew she was still seeing that Josh guy, that I had evidence. Her reaction was priceless. Eyes widened, she tried to laugh it off, said I was crazy, that I was reading too much into things. But I had the screenshots ready, the hotel receipts, the footage. I laid it all out there piece by piece, watching her crumble. She looked furious, then panicked. She started yelling, saying it was none of my business, that I was paranoid. She even had the nerve to say that I was the one cheating, that I'd been unfaithful in my mind because I didn't trust her anymore. I told her that was bullshit. She was the one sneaking out, lying, sleeping around with her lawyer who was supposed to be handling our diplomatic immunity. That she was a hypocrite, pretending to be the devoted wife while screwing around behind my back. Her face went red and she spat. You think this is just about sex? You think I wanted to do this? I was bored. You're always away, always busy with your stupid job. That was the moment I realized just how little she cared about us, about vows, about commitment. To her, it was just convenience, a game she played because she could. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut all over again, but I didn't lose my cool. Instead, I told her I was done. Done with the lies, the betrayal, the manipulations. I told her she could stay or she could go, either way. I was done pretending that everything was okay. That night she packed a bag and left. No tears, no apologies, just that bitchy smirk again, like she thought she was the clever one. I spent the night staring at the ceiling, feeling emptier than I ever had before. The house felt colder, quieter. I knew I'd made the decision I had to make, but it didn't ease the ache inside. I'd lost trust, maybe forever. But at least now I knew the truth. And the truth, as much as it hurt, was the only thing that could set me free. In the days that followed, I felt a strange mixture of relief and grief. The house was eerily silent without her, and every corner seemed to echo with memories I wished I could forget. I'd made my decision. No more lies, no more pretending. I filed for divorce, knowing I couldn't stay married to someone who'd betrayed me so completely. It wasn't just about the cheating. It was about the deception, the manipulation, the way she had dismissively lied about everything as if her actions didn't matter. I learned a lot from this experience, about trust, about the importance of paying attention, and most of all, about the devastating power of betrayal. I thought I knew her well, but I was blind to how much she'd hidden behind that bitchy veneer. It's funny how just a few weeks ago, I thought I had a stable, happy life. Now I see how fragile everything was, how one secret, one lie can dismantle a lifetime of promises in an instant. I won't lie, I still feel the pain. There are nights when her face flashes in my mind, when I replay all the signs I missed, all the times I ignored my gut because I didn't want to believe she could do this. But I also feel a strange sense of relief, like I finally took control. I'm slowly rebuilding my life, focusing on myself for the first time in years. And honestly, I've come to accept that sometimes love isn't enough. People change, betray, and sometimes you just have to walk away. To anyone out there going through something similar, trust your instincts and don't ignore the small signs. If something feels off, it probably is. And don't be afraid to look for the truth, no matter how painful it might be. Because at the end of the day, your happiness and self-respect matter more than any lie someone tries to spin. If you're in a situation like this, remember, you deserve honesty, loyalty, and respect. And if you don't get that, don't be afraid to walk away. Because sometimes, the only thing left to do is start over.